Is that James in the back? John?
It looks like James.
James, you ready in the back? We're good. Okay. Good morning. You are at a Waterworks Commission at 11 a.m. Tuesday, September 3rd. And we have a quorum present, missing just one, Watson. Item 1, approval of the minutes from August 6. I would take a motion to approve those.
I move to accept the minutes.
Motion from Forrest, second by Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Item 2, Director's Report on Utility Operations. Got a list of items here today. We'll hand off to Mr. Lindman.
Thanks, Mayor. Tried to give a rundown with the lead service line replacement program, kind of where things are at, not only for this year, but also with the funding request for 2025 inventories. We are preparing community outreach materials through CIP, which should be coming out these would be related to the 2025 construction season. We anticipate those starting to come out in September. With some general public education information all the way down to scheduling as well. And reaching out, we're looking at doing some upgrades and updates to the websites as well coming up. There's update on staffing that goes to the city council September 10th with those additional utility staff members, proposed 1 at water and 2 at sewer. That would be the final approval, at which time then we would go ahead and advertise for those positions. And then there's some minutes from the joint meeting, just for your reference and file. I don't know if anyone has specific questions, anything on the report.
Mr. Robinson.
So the question, you made reference to the, or in the meeting, that the operational budget will be coming in September. Will that come to this body?
No,
So it goes directly
through finance.
through finance?
Yes.
Is there a chance
Yep.
for us to get a presentation on that for a better
For sure,
understanding?
yeah, absolutely, yep. I will make sure that gets arranged, no problem, John.
Mr. Jean.
I'm just curious how many lead services have been replaced thus far on the private side?
The exact number, I don't know. Towards the beginning of last week, it was over 200, and they're doing 8 to 10 a day, so.
Eric, where are they working now? Are they finished on Eau Claire Boulevard?
Yes, they are working on the southwest side, Edward Street. I don't know all the streets down there, but in that general area on the southwest side.
Ampter was one.
Yep, true, yes.
Further questions? Not a lot in there this week, but it's all important. Anything else, Eric?
Nothing
All right.
on my end, Mayor.
All right, moving on, we have item 3, presentation by Donahue on the granular activated carbon treatment construction project. It looks like we have Susan. Welcome, Susan from Donahue.
Thank you. You should have slides in your packet, but I think we'll have them up on the screen as well. Just wanted to give you an update on construction on the PFAS treatment system. I know some of you have been here for a while with the commission and have followed this project since its inception, but just wanted to start out with just a little review of what we're doing for PFAS treatment. This slide just shows the existing treatment system at the drinking water treatment facility, where we have the, of course, the source water coming in, pre-oxidation, coagulation, flocculation, sedimentation, and filtration. So very conventional treatment system. That's followed by regenerable ion exchange. That's primarily for removal of total organic carbon. But the media has been working on a temporary basis for removing PFAS compounds. To that, we are adding in that green circle, or oval, I guess you could say, we're adding the granular activated carbon treatment system. And then from there, the water gets some additional chemical addition, and then goes, that provides disinfection, and then of course it goes to storage and distribution. So next slide, please. Thank you. So the PFAS treatment system is being housed in a new structure that's being constructed north of the existing plant. The new structure, we've named it 120, is located with the green, or the yellow, gold-colored shading on this slide. In that treatment system, or in that building, then we have the new PFAS treatment system, where we have 6 pairs of vessels, so 12 vessels total. Another major part of the project is construction or replacement of the existing filtered water pumps, and that's because there's additional head loss once we add the granular activated carbon vessels to the system. So we had to replace existing pumps to be able to pump through the granular activated carbon system. Next slide. This just shows the plan for that 120 building, the PFAS treatment building. You can see, like I said, the 6 pairs of vessels, so 12 vessels total that will operate in a lead leg configuration. On the left of the slide, you'll see some equipment that is kind of in a gray tone. That is not being installed at this time. That is filtration equipment that can be used or installed in the future if you would go to ion exchange. And this treatment system is set up so that you have the flexibility in the future to use different media in it. So while we're installing granular activated carbon now, in the future, as technology changes, you do have flexibility. So I did intend this really to just be an update on the project and where we're at with construction. This was the project funding schedule that we laid out as we were putting the project together and figuring out how to obtain funding for it. We did obtain funding from DNR through what they're calling the emerging contaminant program, which was funded by the bipartisan infrastructure law. So you did get grant funding there. You can see that we bid the project in 2023, went through the contracting process. Construction started last year. You can see there's quite a bit of time in fabricating these systems. And our original goal was to have final completion by the end of 2024. Now, as the contracts went together, and working with the contractor and the bidding schedule, we were able to establish a substantial completion date of October 11th. So that is when the system will be up and running. And then the final completion for contract closeout will be in November. So this is the contractor's most recent schedule that they provided at their update meeting, progress meeting in August. You can see that there's a couple things that are redlined, a couple things that got shifted, as often happens in construction, where sometimes things don't go quite as smoothly as you expect. But generally, we are on track for that substantial completion in October. So I did just give you a few pictures here. A lot of these were provided in your in our update, which I think is probably in your packet as well. This is just the exterior of the building. These were taken several weeks ago, so it does look much different. There's a lot of completion work done. This one, I've got a couple in here that I thought were just kind of cool. You can see that's one of the PFAS treatment vessels. So those vessels come basically on a trailer, each vessel on a trailer on its side, and then they have to be craned and set into place. And when they're craned and set into place, then the roof goes on the building. And there's just a close-up of that whole process. This is just the interior of the building. When you have this many vessels in a building, it just takes a lot of piping to be able to move the water in between the various vessels, like distribute it out to the vessels for the treatment, and then also, once it's gone through the vessels for treatment, then to recollect all the water and get it back into the rest of the distribution system. So just lots of piping in this building. And then this final photo, I mentioned the pumps that are being replaced in the basement. This is one of the pumps for replacement, the filtered water pump. And those pumps are replaced now. Well, two of the pumps are replaced, and the third one will be done after substantial completion, so that we can pump water through the PFAS treatment vessels. So just wanted to give you a quick update on the project and that things are moving along.
Mr. Robinson?
So how many of the vessels will be in use at any given time?
Well, it'll depend on the flow. It could be up to 12 of them at any given time.
So you're on a lead lag, and so your lead is primary relative to removal, your lag is your secondary. When you're doing your changeouts, would you be shutting down the one of the units?
Right. So what will happen is once this so the hardest part of this is getting it all installed and getting all the media in it, and getting all those 6 systems, or 6 pairs of vessels started up. Once the vessels are in place and in use, what will happen is you'll be able to take one pair out at a time, and then you basically won't have to take the whole system down. You'll just be replacing the media.
Do we have an anticipated life cycle for each of the vessels? How often we'll be changing those out on a volumetric basis, or approximate time?
We don't, well, we're thinking about a year, but a lot of that will be determined on the data that we collect as treatment is happening.
So you'll run it through one of the vessels back into the system, then we'll run it through the ion exchange for additional removal of other, for your TOC?
Actually, it'll go through the ion exchange first.
First?
And
Okay.
then through the GAC. So we want to get rid of that organic carbon before we hit the GAC. And then it'll go through each pair. So the water will split in the middle. So in the middle of that treatment building, the 120 building, there's a header
Right.
system of piping. And the water gets split. Essentially, it could split 6 ways.
So are we anticipating that that the primary, the lead vessel will need to be changed out annually?
That's
And
what we
so-
would
so
anticipate
you're
at
looking
this
a
point, right?
2-year life cycle for your lag.
Potentially. I mean, you'll flip the lead and the lag after you switch them out, because the lag vessel will not have had as much media expended.
And then do we have any idea what the changeout cost will be approximately for 6 vessels a year?
I don't have those numbers in front of me. Trying to think of the media fill cost. I think we were at like about, I don't want to quote the numbers. I could get that information to you, but I think we were at about 1.6 million for a full fill. But again, I could look those numbers up and get those back to Mr. Lindman
Per
to share
vessel?
with you.
per
No,
vessel?
no, for the whole system,
So you'd
For all
have
12.
half of that?
potentially, yeah.
If you could get us those numbers,
Sure,
I think that would be.
absolutely.
Yeah, operationally, we're looking at 700,000 to $1 million a year, depending on what the carbon costs are going to be.
Right.
There's a lot more carbon plants going in, carbon's going to become more scarce. So the minimum probably be the 700,000 up to $1 million.
Is there a difference relative to the quality of the carbon that goes into the vessels that impacts its absorptive capacity for PFAS? And how do we spec a certain type of carbon?
Yes.
And how are we've gone out for RFPs, and was that based on your bench scale study?
Right. So the specification of the carbon, or the purchase of the carbon, was handled separately from the purchase of the treatment equipment, and that was designed to give us the most flexibility and the best pricing. So in the selection of the materials was based on the pilot testing that we had done. There are various types of granular activated carbon. Of course, every manufacturer will tell you that theirs is best. But there are different types that have different constituents that have, different affinities for different PFAS. So we have selected the Filtrazorb product by Calgon Carbon. And there are some that are, they come more pre-treated than others. They're just different operational requirements for them. So that's what we've selected at this point. But we did, when we put that RFP out, we did ask for pricing on various different types of carbon. So we were able to get a cost comparison there.
Mr. Forrest.
Who's the general on this?
Ellis Construction,
Ellis, okay. And whose vessels are we using, do you know?
Aqueous Vets.
Aqueous
Aqueous Vets.
Vets,
Vets.
VETS?
Yes.
Oh, all right, yes, the veterans, yes. All right, good.
Yes. Yeah.
When they're up and running, can you tell us a little bit about the testing that you're going to do to determine the veracity of the process and how we're doing on PFAS reduction?
Sure. There will, and we don't have all the details worked out yet with the Department of Natural Resources. At least, I don't think they've provided us with specifics as far as requirements for testing. But there will have to be ongoing testing, whether that's on a monthly basis, just to understand how the effective the media is being at removing the PFAS compounds. And of course, at some point, you're going to have breakthrough, but that's where the lead lag configuration protects you.
Right. Are we going to do those tests, or are they sent out?
Well, the city staff will be collecting the samples, but they have to be analyzed by a lab, a certified lab.
And where is that? And how long will that take?
Primarily, you've been using Northern Lake Service in
Northern Lakes.
Crandon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Mr. Jean.
In your, you were showing, I think one of your first slides was showing the flow scheme. The chemicals that we feed, I trust we're still feeding, is it sodium silicate for corrosion control?
All that is after that, Joe.
Pardon?
We add that post-treatment.
Yes, I know, those are the chemicals I was wondering about.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
This question is for Scott, I guess. Have we been able to avoid this second round of regen on the ion exchange units?
We have.
That's good news. What would the savings be?
I think the last change out was like 1.1 million.
Seven figures.
Yeah.
Good point to make. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Forrest. Anyone else for Susan at Donahue? Thank you, Susan.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
All right, up next, item 4, update on the 2023 Compliance Maintenance Annual Report and the WDNR responses. Hand that over to Ben, I think.
Sure, it's just the DNR response from the submittal of the 2023 Compliance Maintenance Annual Report. Our basin engineer just made a few comments. He said, good job on the collection system as far as the maintenance, the televising and that. He recognized the staffing situation, with the addition of the additional staff that should help things out tremendously. We'll be able to service the lift stations more efficiently in that, and the plant. He just basically said, nice work achieving your CMOM goals despite staffing shortage. Nice work cleaning 58% of the collection system and televising 15%. Nice work achieving a 4.0 grade point average, and thank you for submitting the 2003 CMAR.
I'll echo that.
Pretty
Nice
basic.
work. Pretty basic, but nice work anyway. Thanks, Mr. Force.
Thank you.
This doesn't relate directly to your report, so if it's off the agenda, just tell me. But the New York Times Sunday edition had a front page story on PFAS and biosolids. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not.
And, well, it wasn't very instructive. It made the point that land spreading of biosolids is going to become more and more difficult. That's something that's something you well know.
Correct.
And I just wondered if we have anything to report on the PFAS and our biosolids and whether it has yet to impact our land spreading operations.
Not that I'm aware of. We've just performed some of that preliminary 6-month testing that we provided the results to you. We are still proceeding with land application in designated or approved fields instead of allowing the public to come in and get it. Right now, the DNR has not approved the Class A status, exceptional quality. We're still waiting on final approval from the DNR. I know they're short-staffed. So.
Would PFAS impact that Class A designation?
It should not. The preliminary results that we were seeing are well below the take action, if you will, status. So I'm in hopes that it'll remain the same.
And just for the record, I want to point out that the wastewater plant does not generate PFAS.
Correct.
PFAS is coming from other sources.
Yes, it is.
Well, and in theory, Mr. Force, with our GAC filtration and what we've already been doing, we're minimizing what we're delivering to the
Most definitely.
filtration plant, unless it's coming from somewhere else.
Definitely.
Anything else for Ben?
I think just for the record, we are still waiting on our discharge permit
Yes.
renewal, so that still hasn't come. I think the DNR's backed up, just like Ben said, even on the classification for Class A, so, yeah.
For the record, though, all of our trending indicates or proves that we are meeting the Class A status, so.
Thank you. All right, last item up is I have one thing on the minutes. Alder Watson wasn't here, but we did, for the last meeting minutes, indicate we would look at the improving our communication for the water confidence report. So Mr. Force has volunteered, along with Ms. Watson, to get with Scott Bors and work on that. Thank you. All right. The next meeting is set for October 1st at 11 a.m. right here, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion from Robinson, second by Jean. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And we are adjourned.